Hey, so what's up, everybody? Welcome back to, I guess, another episode, a different episode on Keeping It Real with Credit. I'm here joined by one of my clients, which I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you very shortly. But I'm very excited about these new type of episodes because it gives me a time to speak with my clients, maybe answer some questions, and hopefully it'll give you guys a better perspective as to what it's like joining my service, and maybe some questions that you may have while you're hearing it live and direct from an actual client that's still in our program, just actually joined very recently. And other than that, well, here we are. So why don't you go ahead and tell them, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and give us the whole spiel.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Darlene. I was born and raised here in South Florida. I'm currently a claims and billing specialist for a healthcare company that's partnered through different patient employers. And as a claims and billing specialist, I advocate for people, kind of like same thing that Scoreshield Financial does. Advocate for people from a financial standpoint. In my line of work, I try to avoid the medical bills going into collections whenever, let's say, a provider, a carrier has paid the provider, but sometimes providers are not patient enough to wait for their payment. And then this is where, I try to avoid it from going to collections. I try to ensure that the provider indeed receives their payment so that the people don't go into collections, because I don't know if our public or our audience knows, but whenever medical bills go into collections, that's about 30% of your score, which it could take a hit. So it's not wise to let medical bills go into collections. And I understand people have different circumstances where they don't have a choice, but if you have a choice, try not to let it get there.
Got it. And people working in your industry, especially with what you do, are they pretty reasonable? Do you guys try to work out some sort of a plan before it gets to collection, or by the time they talk to you, that means the account is already in collections?
Once the account is in collections, I can't do anything from there. There are times where people don't understand, or at least our audience may not understand too, that sometimes a claim goes into collections because they're like, well, I paid for health insurance, so why do I have to pay extra for this claim? Well, sometimes that, and this turns into a whole different story, but there are times where people don't understand how their medical plans work. So what happens is you have people that are subject to a deductible, before their insurance will pay. So sometimes it's that you didn't satisfy the deductible, so that's why you owe that portion. But in reality, you're getting a discount on what you would owe your doctor because you have health insurance. Or you also have situations where for your claim you may owe nothing, but sometimes the insurance would have the wrong address for the doctor never received payment, and then because the doctor didn't receive payment, they went into collections. So it's two sides to the coin.
Got you. Very, very, very interesting. So now just to kind of sorry guys, because I got the sounds of Miami going on right now. But other than that, I kind of want to go ahead and transition now to um, what made you look into credit repair? What was the thing that says, hey, I need to fix my credit? Is it something that you're looking forward to do? I know we spoke about this before, but just so that the audience knows, what inspired you to fix your credit.
Well, I've been wanting to fix my credit from ever since 2016. So the thing is, I had good credit before, and unexpected circumstances happened. I had broken my left wrist, my distal radius, snapped it in half, and I didn't have health insurance. So at that point, my medical bills hit the fan. And obviously, since I was stuck between paying medical bills and my credit cards, I couldn't make the payments anymore. Not even to I always avoided paying minimum, but even then it came to the point where I couldn't even pay the minimum. And I was on a payment plan with the hospital, but I mean, we're talking about a bill that was huge, relatively high, a lot higher than what I was making a year. So at
Right.
that point, I had to, I guess, compromise. Am I going to pay the medical bills or am I going to pay my credit cards? Either way, my credit is going to hit the fan, and I knew it. And at that point, I just let everything go. And I'm like, I will deal with this at a later time when I can gain financial control back. Um, and then things got worse. I got diagnosed with lupus. Then I ended up getting a divorce and having to come back home to my parents' house. So I had to basically hit the reset button on my life, if we can call it that. And once I finished my degree and I had a more and I was a little more financially stable, I said, okay, it's time to start trying to dispute this. So I went to a different credit company to try to fix it. I started to see results at the beginning, but it was not that there was false expectation, but and I know that credit takes time to fix, just like it took you time to get to the, I guess, get to your little hole. It also is going to take time to get you back out, which, and I know with time as you work on it, you get there.
I love that you
But
said that. I love that you
yeah,
said that because a lot of people into the program and a lot of people, period, which is understandable, but
because they're
and
desperate, they want to get out already, but it takes
exactly,
time.
it does take time, and this is one of the biggest reasons that I got into this type of business because in your situation, you're not the only person that situation has happened to, and like I've always said, life happens, right? It's not that we don't want to pay our debts on purpose, mind you. I'm not here to say that there's not people out there like that, but life does happen. You know what I'm trying to say? And sometimes we need to take a break. And unfortunately, this is not taught in high schools. This is not very accessible information. The information is out there, but you kind of have to dig to find it. I mean, even in these government websites, it's very hard to find the information, even though it's there. And
Or
so,
it's very vague.
or it's very vague, right? And so, part of the reason why I did the channel, wanted to get into this business, is to advocate, right, or speak for people that are in your situation and say, hey, in a sense, it's okay that you're going through that because life happens, but here are actually your rights. Here is actually what you can do. And I think the more that we're empowered with that type of knowledge, the more we can figure our life out and kind of position ourselves in a way where we can relax a little bit more about the situation. And sometimes, look, a late payment is a late payment. That's horrible for your credit. And by just doing that alone, you potentially push yourself back 7, 10, 20 years until you're actually are able to recover from that if you're not doing anything, right? And so I'm glad you're sharing your story because it speaks into, you're like, you're the type of person I'm doing this for. And so thank you for that.
Mhm. Of course, you're welcome. You're welcome. And then the thing is, I had gotten with another with that first credit company to try
Mhm.
to fix it, and there were some results at the beginning, but not enough completely,
Got you.
like not enough. And then obviously more life things happened. It came to a point where like my car was no longer good anymore to the point where I needed a new vehicle and I couldn't afford to finance because obviously since my credit was low, the interest rate was going to be like through the roof. And then at that point, my father had to he put himself as a primary on a leased vehicle and put me as the co-signer so I can piggyback off of him to get my credit to start rising. So it started to rise, but just as it's rising, because of my past inquiries, it's also dropping. So it's kind of at a standstill. It's not moving. It wasn't moving. And then, I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm more financially stable. I have more control. As of today, I don't have any credit card debt like that, because of the 4 credit cards I had, I paid off 3 of them completely and they're closed. I don't plan on opening another credit card. Once my score was enough, I
Right.
was able to get on a secured credit card
Okay.
where you can build your credit off of that, but it's like you're not paying anybody else. It's like if you don't pay the credit card, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you put money down to have that plastic. So right now I'm building with that, but that's not enough. Even though it's revolving, it's not enough. I know I have late payments on there. I know that there are things that are on there that are out of my control. And then at that point, I had to tell the audience I had gone to FIU. You know, I was taking my courses, and I actually had Ray in a class. But I
Yep,
would have
that's right.
never thought, like, yeah, I would have never thought that, you know, 3 years later down the road, he would be advocating for people. So then when I come across his post and then I see like, oh, wait a minute, I know Ray. Wait, I went to school with him. Let me request him. And then when I see he's advocating for people, I'm like, oh, finally someone that I feel I can trust, because I don't know if the audience knows, like, he is also a veteran. So when it comes to the word of, especially when it's the word of a Marine, like, those words are binding. When they say they're going to do something, they do it, and they don't compromise their best. They go above and beyond and make sure that they get the results no matter how hard it's going to get there. So I knew that I was in good hands at this point. I'm like, I know something's going to get done here. It's just, I have to wait. It's a matter of time, but I know that my process is moving.
Man, that gave me goosebumps there. Thank you, thank you. And guys, just so you guys know, me and Darlene have a bit of history. Like she mentioned, we took some classes together at university, and she knows what it's like to be with Marines. I think you was mentioning that you was married to one at some point. Yeah.
Yes.
And so she's had an experience with being with one, and she has a great support for veterans and Marines and whatnot. So I do appreciate that. Well, I know, and I do appreciate you joining my program and hitting me up. And I'm more than happy to help. Now, talk to us a little bit about, in your perspective, right? There's no wrong answers here. What did you think about the information, the sign up, and what you're dealing with now, like every step of the way?
Well, one thing that I definitely appreciate is the fact that I'm receiving constant notifications. I'm not being left in the dark. For instance, anytime there's an update, I receive, and I don't know in what order because it happens in different orders, but I get three methods of communication. I receive a text message letting me know, hey, you have a message, you know, in your Scoreshield portal. I'll get an email saying the same thing. At one time, I got a phone call saying, oh, please remember to check your app. You know, like, the
Yep.
communication is consistent. So you're not really in the dark like that. And then that's something that I thrive on, especially because in my line of work, people depend on me for the same thing, different methods of communication to get the information across. Um, and within the first 2 weeks, I had I had already started receiving, I had received a letter from Experience saying, hey, we've received your request, whatever the case may be. And then about 3 weeks ago, I received a letter that some items have been deleted from my score. Like,
Awesome.
in terms of, like, not the, like, the big bills, but like even the change of address has
Yep.
an impact on your credit score.
Hmm. Yeah. So the reason why your address, and we dispute personal information. And by the way, guys, this is all included in the service. It's not particularly something that we charge for, but we know and understand that the personal information that's reflected on your credit report is the same exact information. The reason why it's on there is because there's some accounts that are reflecting that same address and information. And so the law states that everything on your credit report must be verifiable, accurate, and complete. And so any other address that isn't your current address right now would be considered unverifiable and inaccurate. And so what my processors do in order to create the strategy is look throughout your credit report and find errors or discrepancies or things that we can state the case to support the fact that an account should be removed from the credit report. Now, a lot of cases, the inaccuracies are well beyond the credit report, in the sense that we need to request documentation from the creditor or the credit bureaus in that case to review and then find the errors or discrepancies in the documentation that they're sending over. However, if they're late, right, the law states it says 30 days. If they're 31 days late, that's sufficient proof or justifiable reason for that account to be removed, right? So what my processors do is we're experts at finding these errors or discrepancies, to build the case as to why we need that removed from the credit report. And in fact, that happens. So the only way that something can legally come off of your credit report, it's only if we find that it's unverifiable, inaccurate, and incomplete. And so hopefully that makes sense to you, Darlene, and to the audience watching on there. And that's basically what we do on a consistent basis. So those are your first set of results, right? Which are great.
So far, yeah. I mean, I've only been in the program for going on 5 weeks. So
Yep.
it's still a little relatively early to tell. So
Yep.
I would urge people to have the patience,
Yep.
because once those results hit, you'll see a sudden rise in the credit score, and it's
Right.
worth the wait. It's just a waiting game.
Right. So now the remaining negative items, we're going to go ahead and dispute. And since you're in our pay per delete program, like I said, you were only invoiced for the items that got deleted. Whatever's remaining, we're going to go ahead and continue to fight at full cylinders. We'll be full beast mode on the rest of the items, and then wait till the next month. In a lot of cases, not all the accounts get removed in the first 30 days, although we do have clients that happens to. That's not very realistic. And as everybody knows, I don't promise that to anybody. Some cases, some accounts are a little bit more stubborn and they require a little bit more aggressiveness or patience, in the sense, like I said, building up that case and documentation and proof. That's why we don't speak over the phone. Everything's black and white in writing, because what we're doing is we're building a case, in a sense, to support the fact that a certain account is being removed. And other than that, Darlene, I mean, obviously the fight still continues, but I do appreciate your time that you took on a Friday like today. I got to beat the lighting here, but
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time and for your kind words. And I'm very happy that you're happy with the service. And again, if there's anything else that we can do, let us know. And if there's any suggestions on how to make the service better, please let me know, because the number one key to me is communication and ensuring that everybody's clear so that we can do the work more proficiently. But thank you so much for your time.
Sure, you're welcome. And then before you go, it's like, I
Yep.
do have a question for you off
Sure.
camera.
All right.
Okay.
No worries, no worries.
Okay.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this episode. Let me know what you guys think on the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and just let me know what you feel about this information. Do you guys want me to contact more of my clients to hear more about the service? Other than that, guys, you know how to hit me up: 561-935-5400, or look in the description below to see how to reach me. Other than that, guys, good night and have a great weekend. Thank you.
All right, guys, stay healthy.